Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an OP level 60 build for Harlowe in Borderlands 4. She got a crazy buff in this latest update, and I'll be showing you some of the powerful new weapons to use on these builds here alongside some of the old classics to get the most out of this level cap increase, which Harlowe definitely benefited from quite a bit here. She even has some crazy infinite ordnance builds here. It's just insane how powerful she is. And if you don't have the expansion pack and are just using base game weapons, I'll also be showing you a build here that just shreds just about every piece of content in the game with the base game weapons, because there's a lot of really good ones here with this level cap increase Harlowe got. You've seen it there in Ultimate Vault Hunter 6, and even in true mode she dominates. Now this is a build that I predicted would become very powerful as the level cap increase came, because this just lets us go further in the green skill, grabbing more decoherence alongside feedback loop and latent charge, and then also putting on runaway reaction, which normally you couldn't have all three of these here. Now I did some experimenting with a blue skill tree. There's some interesting options you can go with whenever you trigger your action skill. You can get some boosts to your damage and fire rate, but I found honestly getting the extra bonus damage from this is actually crazy. So I'll be taking you through everything and explaining why we're going with the options here, just starting off at level 1 through 25. We're first going to take momentum, so when we entangle an enemy, us and our companions will also get an additional 25% critical hit damage. This is just a very useful skill to have. Afterwards, we're going to take Neutron Decay. Whenever we irradiate an enemy, we're going to get plus 10% gun damage per stack, so we can get upwards of 50% gun damage from this. And we're going to do this often, because later on, we're going to just get bonus radiation damage on everything that we do. After this, I like to take Creative Overflow. Whenever we're going to deal increased gun damage based on our overshield, and with a particular shield, this is very good. And the more overshield we have, the greater the bonus, so we can get a large boost to that. Resonant Cascade's pretty useful too. This will give us more action skill damage, which comes from Flux Generator there, so this can be a good choice, but I like to go with the Creative Overflow for the 36% extra gun damage there, and then also putting 2 points into Confirmed of Reality. This is possibly the best skill in Borderlands, because whenever Harlowe shoots an entangled enemy, she and all allies restore a portion of their action skill cooldown. We don't need even any more than 2 points in here, even 1 point is fine, because this is going to give you a lot back. Basically, a shotgun is going to give you your action skill back in seconds after you run it out. So very useful and great for your teammates as well. Now after this, I like to come over to the right hand section. So I'll talk about class mods, or I'll talk about augments and the capstone in a minute, but we're going to grab Excited State. Now you can go with the ricochet chance here, but I do think it's better for us to go all in on Excited State. This makes it, when combined with the nuclear winter here, so that we get infinite crits on every single shot that we fire. It becomes insane, but this also boosts the damage by 35%. Incredible. Afterwards, we're going to take, I like to go with 1 point of accretion, typically with lifesteal, since it's so high. You don't need to grab a large amount of it, and then we're going to put the rest of the points into distributive function. Whenever our action skill damages an enemy, restore a portion of our shield capacity. If our shields are full, we get overshield, and this applies to our allies as well. So this is not only a very powerful solo build, but you're really one of the better ones if you're playing with multiple people. Kind of like Cash. It's cool. Now this takes us down to our capstone group study. So this combines together with Nuclear Winter and Excited State to give us what we need, infinite crits. So this is going to create a Halo sidekick, and this also gives it for allies as well, and it'll follow them around. But it's going to give you 25% gun damage per activation. You activate it once, and you can continually keep activating it. It increases your fire rate. It also increases your reload speed, and it will make it so that it burns through it a lot quicker. But we can keep this with certain skills. This is really good, and it follows us around, which is nice, because then we can throw on the Nuclear Winter. Whenever Harlowe and her allies are inside the Flux Generator's radius, they deal bonus cryo damage. Whenever we leave it, we get bonus radiation damage for a duration. And whenever we inflict these, the enemy becomes entangled. This is insane. So yeah, we're always entangling enemies at this point. Now you can, for the next levels from 25 onwards, take Gamma Ray Burst. I don't love taking this because it ends up burning through your shields, as it does drain the shields to do the bonus damage. It can be nice, but I do think going with higher gun handling is really good. This lets us do a lot of guns at far range without aiming down sights, and it keeps our shields full so that we can overload them and then get some of these other gun benefits like Creative Overflow. This also then takes us to critical funding, which is a big portion of this build, because when we critically hit an enemy, which is all the time, we get a chance of entangling it and restoring a gun's magazine. So there's a 15% chance to add 5 ammo on a critical hit, and this triggers a lot more than you'd think. It's pretty much nonstop. That's how you're able to see me use a heavy ordnance there and get infinite ammo with only 3 shots. It's crazy. After that, we're going to take Meltdown. So critical hits will deal bonus radiation damage. This is where I was mentioning we're able to actually do this irradiation on enemies really easily. So yeah, Meltdown is fantastic. Now after this, I again mentioned going to the red and blue skill trees. I experimented with some of them, and I'll be doing future builds on those skill trees as well for level 60, but Green skill tree is just so crazy at the higher levels that we want to take Decoherence. This increases damage with all sources to entangled enemies, and enemies inside the flux generator take further increased damage. So if it's only at 5 stacks, it's 25% damage, and then those inside it get another 15%. That is crazy. 40% bonus damage is really, really nice. And it's bonus damage, so it's actually quite a bit, because it's going to take any of these gun damage increases that we get from neutron decay and apply it to that. So the damage numbers go crazy. This is really good. Then it also lets us come down here and take latent charge. Harlowe deals bonus damage with guns, melee attacks, and action skills when she has overshield, and the more she has, the better the damage. And that's why I was talking about not wanting to drain our shields with gamma ray burst, because we can then take latent charge and boost up our damage even further alongside the creative overflow. So that can be really good, and especially if you're playing with an Amon, because Amon can actually draw aggro, so you can keep your overshield a little bit longer. It's really good. I recommend taking this. The 50% bonus damage is really nice to have. I also do like to take Feedback Loop. Whenever Harlowe entangles an enemy, she gets increased action skill damage, duration, and cooldown rate. This affects stacks. The damage and the duration are really nice because we're going to be basically critically hitting and entangling enemies nonstop. And with this, we entangle everyone all the time. So this is useful. So it can boost up the power by 10% per stack for max 50%, which is really nice. Now, I also like to put on the runaway reaction here, gaining an increased status effect chance, and whenever Harlowe applies a status effect to the enemy, they become entangled. So not that we really needed that, but the extra status effect chance is nice because we're going to be irradiating and freezing enemies often. And for our last few points, we have 3 left. You can put some into Main's Hum, which will give you maximum shield capacity and overshield, which is nice, just giving you more survivability that way. We can put 1 more point into Distributive Function, which will give you that overshield, 6% more of that from the action skill damage. Or we can put points in a Resonant Cascade. I think it's best to go 1 point in Distributive Function and then put the last 2 points in the Resonant Cascade, since we're doing radiation damage pretty much non-stop. More action skill damage is quite nice. Now, looking at class mods, yeah, I have a good time finding the other ones for the other Vault Hunters with the new DLC, but I still think the Reactor class mod is one of the better ones, because whenever we entangle the enemy, we get a Reactor stack, which gives us 2% movement speed, and then when we get 10 stacks, 20% gun damage, fire rate, reload speed, status effect damage, and we get this pretty frequently because we're entangling enemies non-stop. But it's the 4 points into Decoherence that's nice, and it also gives us 2 points into the Force of Will. So whenever we critically hit an enemy, we're going to daze them. They get decreased movement speed and attack speed, and days can stack. This is actually kind of good, and I like having that on there because normally you'd have to invest quite a bit, and the blue skill tree is not that good, but we can get one of the better skills there, and considering we're always going to be critting and getting that extra bonus damage from that, it's super useful. I have some garbage rolls on that, but it's probably one of the better options. I like, if you get 5 points Decoherence, that'd be best. Now, shields. Unfortunately, Watts for Dinner is the best in slot. It's 25% bonus shock damage is so good. This will tear through shields a lot quicker. I also like, if you're mobbing, to grab the fireworks, because this is going to shoot off rockets that go and hit enemies, hunt them down. It can do some pretty nutty stuff, and I'd actually recommend grabbing a radiation version if you can. The Protean Cell is kind of like the Watts for Dinner, but a bit more damage reduction. Or you'd get 40% shock damage, but you get less damage reduction because you have to take it out of your shield. It's not really like amazing, but it's an option. And the Super Soldier, I really do like this, although it doesn't work on heavy ordnances anymore. Probably a good thing, because it would have been crazy on the Heimdahl heavy ordnance that we have here. But yeah, Watts for Dinner just typically ends up being the better option, just in most cases, because that extra damage is hard to beat. Now for our augments, our enhancements, there's quite a few good ones. I really like going with Torg, the stud finder here, giving us plus 25% damage and damage radius. The damage radius is huge, especially when you get one that can have Jacobs on it, because it can chain to the ground and explode. This is more so effective on the shalashaska, but we just got another Torg pistol that rocks with the scoot and shoot. So this is probably my favorite at the current moment. You could also go with one of the Jacobs license bounce pass ones, giving an increased ricochet is always good on pretty much every gun that's Jacobs. And there's also ones that gives the 100% crit on COV weapons. That's pretty decent too, but honestly hard to beat Torg right now. Torg's doing very well. So I also like to have the Eager Heimdahl here. This is one of the new weapons from the DLC, and it is insane. I'm going to show it in the combat, but I showed at the start of the video. You shoot little heads, and they shoot at the enemies. It triggers your action skill, and basically makes so you get infinite ammo easily. We could also use the Atling gun, which you can see there, 56k damage if you get a good one. There's a new Icar, but it sucks, I'll be honest. We have 2 new heavy ordnances on 2 grenades, and I just think the Heimdahl is so crazy. It's the best in slot. And yeah, you're going to want to use this one. It is that good. And it doesn't really matter the rolls. They're all pretty solid, to be fair. Now for our Repkit, I like the triple bypass just because if you aren't able to entangle an enemy, which you shouldn't have a problem with it, but let's say there's an invincibility phase for the boss, you can spam the triple bypass to get your action skill back. It's great against Bloom Reaper the Invincible because he has that big invincibility phase. I also like the War Paint here. If you can get one with splash damage increases by 25%, it's really nice, especially because we're going all in the Torgue. And for Firmware, the best in slot is high caliber piercing bullets. This is great because with things like the shalashaska, which can get 5+ ricochets, you can pierce through and then pierce through another and get multiple ricochets on multiple targets. Obviously, that's a hard shot to take, but it's just so good. You could pierce through enemies, and enemies are oftentimes lined up chasing you down. You could also go with the get out of jail free card. This one here gives increased action skill damage, which is pretty good. But I'd probably recommend Deadeye 2 alongside the high caliber 3. Don't go 4 like I have here. Just the rolls the way they worked. Now for our weapons, there's a lot of really good new ones. I'm going to start, I guess, with the new ones just to talk about them because there's fun ones. Crazed Earl. This thing is really cool. This inspires, or this wants you to go in and melee targets after you hit them. There's also a Torgue roll. I got a Jacobs and a Ripper. This was so hard to farm. I'm looking for more rolls, so we'll see what else can pop up for this, but this is still very strong nonetheless. I also think the Scoon Shoe is probably the best slot here. You can also get a Ripper Jacobs. Apparently, I haven't seen it myself, but I've gotten Jacobs rolls for it. This is crazy though. You can get it to be a sticky weapon, and you know how sticky weapons work. The bot is crazy, but you can also just do it as a normal Torgue impact, and you saw how crazy that gets. The big thing with the Scoon Shoot is it shoots multiple times. Like when you shoot, a ghost gun appears there, and then it shoots too, so you can do insane amounts of damage with this. The new weapon, the Flash Cyclone, is also a very solid one. This is a cryo weapon, and it has a chance to explode and spawn additional projectiles, but I'm not sure what the percentage. It's not like the Dark Beast, which has that stock 20%. It used to be 5%, they boosted to 20. Maybe we'll see this boosted up, because even with the Jacobs and the Ripper parts, I still just way prefer the Dark Beast over it. But we also get the Laser Cutter, which is Dead Space reference, and you actually get more damage if you target enemies' limbs with it too, which is kind of cool. I also have the Unstable Core, the Falk. I've tried all the new weapons, the Fear Stalker and everything. But I do think the best two are Crazed Earl and the Scoon Shoot right now, and Heimdahl. Those 3 weapons are insane on Harlowe. Now for weapons from previous, I guess this is kind of a free weapon, the Mantra. This is from Bloom Reaper. It is crazy good, especially if you can get a Radiation Cryo version on it with Jacobs and Ripper. Jacobs and Ripper is typically the best roll for most weapons just because the fast fire rate and fully auto is crazy, but also Jacobs means you can ricochet it around. You'll see, this gun goes hard. We also have the Dark Beast here with the shotgun loader. This is a really powerful option because the shotgun shoots multiple times and it's like a burst fire. It does insane damage. And last weapon I want to mention is the shalashaska. This is from the newest bounty pack too. And if you get the shotgun loader, Torgue Impact, Jacobs, it goes crazy for the big explosions and the damage. You want to shoot this off, and I'll show you it will basically one shot. Now other weapons, Golden God's a great choice. The Wombo combo is also good because it's got the rockets. I'm just going to quickly mention the ceramic bod. I'm not going to use it for this video, but it's an option. It's obviously very strong. We also have things like the 7th Sense, which is really good with Harlowe's action skill, and even things like the Stray Sniper Rifle are fantastic, especially if you get the Ripper Jacobs on that as well. And for our specializations, I'm going to roll with the Riddle You This here, which gives us 50% extra gun damage. And then also now with Caffeine, as mentioned, you don't need this, but if you can't get a target with your that's entangled to shoot at, you're going to get your action skill back this way. I Am a Gun adds half of our gun damage, increases to action skill, which is huge. And this here, we already have critical hit chance, but getting 50% extra action skill critical hit damage is quite nice on top of this. So pretty straightforward with what we're going to roll with. If you're going to use the Mantra, take Bare Arms to add our gun damage onto our melee. It goes crazy. It double dips actually, because it is a gun and a melee weapon. Now when it comes to combat, I'm going to first show off the Scoon Shoot here. You can see all those bullets coming from those ghost guns that appear. This thing is insane, and I'm not even using the stickies on it. If you do, the stickies are crazy too. And here's the shalashaska as mentioned. This basically just one-shots anything. It's insane. Can we get this again on the Jumbotron? Yeah, boy, that goes hard. Yeah, I think this is actually the strongest weapon in the game, to be honest. It is super crazy powerful. Again, shalashaska, and you have to shoot it 5 times without, or shoot it, reload manually 5 times to get that crazy damage. And from the base game, here's the Dark Beast. Is a very powerful weapon. This just destroys Bloom Reaper the Invincible because those bullets will occasionally explode and do damage in area of effect. This is now going to do a lot more damage because we're going against the armor shield. And yeah, you see there, it's great. The first health bar was really strong against it, but very powerful weapon. And here's the Crazed Earl from the DLC pack. It's got some pretty solid damage too, but you get even more whenever you go in melee. So basically all these things will go flying. Yeah, you saw that. And they will chain to another target there, so this is also a weapon that can come with like the torque parts, but you can see if we go in, and yeah, it took out like almost the entire health bar there. It is a very powerful weapon. And here's the mantra from Bloom Reaper, the Invincible, and there's a variety of different rolls you can get for this. I'm gonna switch it over to the Cryo now. Cryo is my preferred way, just to slow them all down, but yeah, this thing is insane with the Ripper. And here's the new heavy ordnance, the Heimdahl. You have to fire this a little slowly so you can watch my ammo down the corner. We only have 3 shots, so you have to wait for them to shoot at the boss and then also get that off, but it starts just clearing his health bar quickly. So if this video is useful, please hit the subscribe button below. Let me know what Borderlands 4 content you guys would like to see next, and I hope you guys all have an incredible day. Catch you in the next one.